I think it's important to take stock today of like things like risk management and how to manage a portfolio, which is not easy and there's no easy answers for any of it. I talked to a guy many years ago. He was an investor of mine. I would say still a friend. Guy named Bob Johnson. He was one of the top guys for George Soros. It was him, Stan Druckenmiller, Soros, and a pretty small group of other guys that planned out a lot of these trades. And Soros famously said around the time of the pound trade, where they shorted a lot of pound, Soros looked at the trade and he said, I think the suggestion was to do a smaller amount that they were planning than they ended up doing. That was the plan. And Soros said, no, we have to go for the jugular. And, they were willing to violate risk management principles for that. I think that the secret to trading is knowing not so much when to violate risk management principles, because you just shouldn't do that, period. But I think that it's about trying to be patient and constructing a trade where you have a defined loss. And with options, you do get the ability to have a defined loss. And you realistically say, okay, look, I might take this defined loss, and then what I'll do is I'll take this next defined loss, and then finally, this is how many defined losses I'm willing to take before I give up. So how do you short a stock that goes from 10 to 200 and back down to 10? You're sure it's overvalued, but you don't know when the roller coaster is going to stop. You don't know when the train's going to derail. And when it comes to a company that's fraudulent, which none of these quantum companies really are, but when you short a fraudulent company where they're actually breaking the law, I don't mean the kind of law Trump or I broke, but like a real law, where they're actually criminally doing something wrong, you're shorting the stock and you're saying, Jesus Christ, these guys are willing to break the law. And the stock keeps going up because they're lying. What are you supposed to do? You're going to be right, but you don't get right and you don't get paid until you close the trade or your P&L is up. When the Kelly criterion says that it's actually mathematically proven to maximize your bankroll or your portfolio size, your P&L, you're supposed to put the most amount of money in your highest conviction trades. If you actually employ the Kelly criteria, most people in Wall Street, the Kelly criterion, most people in Wall Street find that it leads to positions that are too large. It's a pretty simple probability, and so for determining bet size. Now the thing about options is they allow you to construct interesting bet sizes. So I use the method of synthetic puts to make a healthy P&L. I'm up a lot today. James made a good point here, which is like multiple outcomes and risk reward have to be implemented within Kelly, which makes it hard to implement. But in any event, if you can find a way that's creative that can limit your risk, I think that's one of the keys here. And I think the other key thing is if you're willing to take pain on the way up, you should be willing to be greedy on the way down. And that's one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn. I was very good at taking pain on shorting, and as a long too. Really, really good at it. The thing I wasn't so good at is when I finally start to get paid, I would get out of my whole position like right away. And my trading partner, my business partner, Mark, he would laugh at me and he'd say, so you're willing to ride the stock as a short from 5 to 40. And the second it goes from 40 to 35, you want out. If you're short it all the way up there, because you thought it was going to go from 5 to 1, if anything, you should be adding to it because the market's finally starting to see what you see. You see things early because that's what your gift is. The rest of the world's going to have to wait to catch up to you because you're just a different kind of cat. And you'll see things before other people see them, which is good, but it's also bad if you are trying to trade the stock market, because the stock market measures your P&L as of right now, not as of when you're going to be right in 3 months or when you're going to be right in 6 months. So if somebody who doesn't know how to spell quantum wants to buy these stocks, and a group of people want to do that and make it go to 20, they can put you out of business before you have a chance to be right. So now that these stocks have made their parabola, it's very unlikely that they'll come back. So like once a parabola, a good example is this stock, this is 𝗕𝗏𝗑. 𝗕𝗏𝗑 has been this like kind of worthless company for, I want to say 25 years. So I was following these guys a long time ago. I love science. I love all of STEM, medicine, you name it. You guys know that. And 𝗕𝗏𝗑 has been around a long time. 𝗕𝗏𝗑 was the first company to ever say the words quantum computing. And I was a young guy on Wall Street, surrounded by a lot of tech people. And my brain, my imagination would always run to these quantum computers and think, wow, well, what if this could happen? Because it was this sort of science fiction thing. It wasn't really a science fiction thing. It was sort of this thing you'd see in science papers and things like that, journals, from time to time. And so I'd always pay attention to 𝗕𝗏𝗑. And I even wanted to invest in 𝗕𝗏𝗑 privately. But over time, I learned that they weren't really a quantum computing company. They're what's called a quantum annealer. And annealing doesn't really do anything. And so they've had 25 years to sell annealers. I think they made their first annealer like 15 years ago. And nobody buys them. Google was an early investor and customer, but they basically divorced many, like 10 years ago, severed ties. And you can't use these annealers to do anything useful. And I don't think you're going to use quantum computers to do anything useful. I think integer factorization will be solved, but I think we'll be long gone from integer factorization by then. In fact, NSA has already set deadlines to move government information off of quantum, off of sort of integer factorization, I guess RSA and ECC type encryption to something more secure. So, you know, China may be able to read our emails in 2040 that we sent in 2020, but they won't really care that much. Nobody would really care. The same way, if you read the Kennedy files, you sort of look at it and say, well, this was secret information, but I'm not sure why and who. Go ahead and read the Kennedy files. They're really boring. There's nothing in there. I read the stuff they just declassified, and presumably the stuff they just declassified has to be somewhat sensitive because they waited this long to declassify it. It's not interesting at all. You know, so most of these communications that we want to decrypt are just not that exciting to decrypt, and we'll change the encryption protocols anyway. You know, in 30 years, these companies won't be around. It's like saying 30 years ago, the biggest drug companies are going to be, there was a bunch of weird drug companies way back when that you probably wouldn't have heard of, but like, I don't know, Warner Lambert or, you know, some of the companies that ended up merging a million times over to become these big companies. And it's laughable to sort of go back in time and say some random biotech company like Sugen or Centocor, or I'm only naming some of the successful ones, but some of the ones that there were 100 unsuccessful ones for the ones that were successful, and say, oh, but that's going to be the future Amgen or the future Intel. That's like what you're trying to do with IonQ we're getting now. Yeah, quantum computing is going to take 15 to 30 years, like Jensen said, but by the time that happens, these companies will be out of business, merged. There'll be 3 recessions. Like, nobody knows if these guys will survive till then. It's not even clear IBM or Google will survive till then. So Google might just say, you know what, quantum was really 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗦's thing. You know, we're going to cut this because it's just too expensive. There's no point. This should be done by a privately held company. This should be done by a venture capital backed company. That's not our job at Google. Our job is to focus on our products. And they just kill quantum because what's the point? It can't help Google. There's nothing really to do with Google. It was just a science experiment that Larry, Sergey, and what I heard is Eric mostly liked. In fact, I'm not even sure Eric or Larry cared for it. But when you manage $1 trillion company, you're allowed to have little things like that you do for fun. But it doesn't mean that it necessarily makes sense. Bezos was willing to lose billions of dollars a year on Echo and Alexa, and those products don't for Amazon, but he really liked the idea of having them. And they were willing to lose a lot of money just to have those. So, you know, IonQ almost went bankrupt, as did Rigetti. When they were privately held, they couldn't find any more capital. They had to do down rounds
And then when they were done doing down rounds, they had to do a SPAC. Nobody wants their products. They have very few customers. The only thing IonQ has is an Air Force contract. The Air Force isn't exactly the most venerable, amazing sort of office you can think of. And given IonQ's lack of progress, I'm not sure they're going to renew those contracts. They're pretty small to begin with. So I'm very suspicious of all of this stuff. There's better quantum companies anyway that are private, like Quantinuum or PsiQuantum. And what's funny about looking at these quantum companies is that they're the only ones in the menu. So I was trying to find a good analogy for this, but it was, well, that's the thing. I mean, the only two publicly traded quantum companies are Rigetti and IonQ, really. And so retail investors, when they want to buy quantum, that's the only two they can go to, but they're cockroaches. The good companies are IBM and Google, which don't have material businesses that would change their stock price, or Quantinuum, which is private, or PsiQuantum, which is private, or a couple of these other companies. So you're forced to buy the lowest quality companies, and now you're a backholder. D-Wave and like QUBT and PsiQuantum and Quantum Corp, like these are all, Quantum Computing Inc., like these are all like just scams. Those are all zeros. But like to even humor Rigetti and IonQ, which I'm not sure we should do, but even humoring those companies, those are like very third-tier companies, let alone investable or exciting companies. So anyway, that's the spiel with quantum. I think it was more of a story about this was more of a story about risk management and tolerating a short that's ripping in your face and shorting after it starts ripping in your face. So here's Rigetti, right? It feels like some big victory today, but it's not. If you look at the stock price, I was shorting at 13. This stock is going to go back to 3. Once a parabola goes up like that and breaks, it doesn't get better. It doesn't recover. So this is the time to short it when it's safer. I'd rather make 13 to 5 free money than struggle on the way up to 20. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that is willing to do that. I'm willing to be a little early. But the reality is you should wait for the break. The break has happened, right? And now you short it. You're still going to make 80, 90%. I'm going to make 80, 90%, but I'm going to make it with all the stress and pain and difficulty. Santa is, it certainly looks like they cured type 1 in one patient. And there's other companies doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and I'm usually a skeptic, as you guys know. But the thing about this is, like, if you just buy stocks, if you just short stocks and you never buy anything, you're just short beta. So you have to be able to, or let's say if I bought Pfizer and Merck and some, Home Depot and some really safe stocks, like at the end of the day, like I'm just shorting beta. So you have to pair, that's why I mentioned being long Palantir, pairing the risk factors. So if you're long momentum factor or short momentum factor, and we've been short momentum factor in all kinds of stocks and even crypto, then you have to be long some momentum factor, or you're just like, you can replicate this portfolio by just shorting like half these stocks here, or just Bitcoin or whatever's been up a lot. You could just short that, and you're not even getting the alpha from quantum computing. Yeah, QMCO is a weird one. So I lost money shorting QMCO and I got out. And the reason I got out was I was just wanted to focus on IonQ and Rigetti. But QMCO is not even a quantum company. It has nothing to do with quantum computing. They're a tape drive company. They make cassette tapes as well. So it's like one of these things where it's like, what? This is just momentum. This is just people memeing. They're memeing in the stock market. Oh, bro, movie theaters are so important. It's a critical institution. You don't understand. I set a limit buy on IonQ at $40.07. Never thought it would get filled. It got filled. Sure. I think IonQ is going to go down.
Partially filled.
Like IonQ is just
filled.
Barely. Like it's barely gone down at all. I just like any little relief rally I want to short, but I just haven't gotten a rally yet. There was a little rally before 8 a.m., which gave me some opportunities, but IonQ about to break 40. Oh, zoom in on the camera guy. Can you zoom in on that? All right, thank you. Sign up for Godel Terminal. Come on, bro. Don't break 40, bro. No, don't do it. Ah! Hey, yo, listen, baby. You know I love you, right? Yeah. So anyway, you know I'm always looking out for our future, right? Yeah, so what I did is I took the check and I bought some quantum with it. Yeah, quantum computing. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna need you to get your purse and give me like 500. They gave me a call. The brokerage firm, they gave me a call. They said it was a important call. And I gotta go call them back. You feel me? You know, they probably want to talk important business with us. The quantum business. You know I love you, baby. I'm gonna get a job eventually. No, eventually I'm gonna get a job for real. Keep it real. But you got the job now, so get me the paper so I can answer this call. Are you still on Chegg, Humphrey? I told you I wanted to see another quarter. We all got out of Chegg. Oh man. I like Chegg. It like almost doubled. So it's just like uncomfortable. And they're still, you know, they still have problems. It's not like I generally don't sell calls if I've used them as synthetic puts, because they don't do it doesn't do anything for you when you sell them. You know, so the out of the money calls are all going to be worthless. I might even buy some just to have further protection and short more. I mean, like I said, it feels like the trade is over, but the reality is like that's just because you took so much mental damage shorting them. IonQ barely is down, even though it's down 20%. It's at the same price that was causing me a heart attack a week ago when I was shorting it like crazy. Now I want to cover it? No, I'm not going to cover. Why not short more? All right, I keep it real with you. I'm going to cover 100 shares. I'm going to go from 98,700 shares short to 98,000.
Order partially filled.
I'm going to keep it real. I'm taking money off the table.
Order filled.
Same thing with you, Rigetti. I'm going from 96,905 shares short to 96,805 shares short. Yeah, I guess I should probably set some buy orders at like really crazy prices, like IonQ or like Rigetti. I'll buy some at 11. And when you set them down that low, quants like Citadel and stuff, they can read your mind. And they say, oh, he's trying to buy at $10. The stock's at 13. Let's short it. Computers start being like, oh, they pick up on that. This guy's really putting in orders below the market. Y'all want to put Shkreli in a poorhouse. Oh man, I'm up 1.4 thousand in case anybody's listening. I never bailed myself out. I thought about it. And even if you have to bail yourself out, that's actually not a horrible strat to be like, okay, well, I'm going to have an extra side of money. Oh my God. You know, I feel like the Vince McMahon meme. We got some more synthetic puts. The Rigetti, start with 8. Should I go to 7? I gotta go to 7. I thought I was gonna get a little chance to reload or something. Dude's name is Chad Rigetti. He would have been a billionaire for a day, but all right, how to celebrate? How about by doing more work? Tomorrow was promised to nobody. Make sure you sign up for Godel Terminal. We will be taking on Bloomberg, doing a better job, making it cheaper. You sign up for Godel, I become your personal slave. You can call me day or night, DM me. I will do whatever you ask.
Order filled.
Of course, you know, I only have so much time.
Partially filled.
So
order filled.
Requests may take a minute to get to, but and get your orders in now because we're going to raise the price. You know I like raising prices. You know how I do. It's $60 a month. Bloomberg is $2,500 a month. So if you order now, it's $60 a month for life. So subscribe now on our beta tier.
Partially filled.
Our beta members get
filled.
locked in price for life before Wall Street has to pay 5x, 10x the price. Filled. Who knows? I sometimes raise prices 50x. Filled. And people are going to say, Shkreli did it again. He raised prices. Listen, just like last time, you don't understand. If the price was too low to begin with, it's that I was doing other people a favor. Don't ask why is it so expensive now. Ask why was it so cheap before.
Order partially filled.
It's that easy.
Order filled.
You don't think Jensen would just... First of all, he's talking about Q to Q. Second of all, he's partnering with all these companies.
Order partially filled.
He's a smart dude. He's trying to stay, you know, on the forefront, stay abreast of the threats, to potential threats to NVIDIA. So he's all over quantum.
Order partially filled.
You don't think it'd be hard for him
Order
to
filled.
buy out one of these companies if there was some risk? IonQ would be bought out by AMD, and Rigetti would be bought out by NVIDIA, and Qualcomm would buy out a privately held quantum. Man, he's scared of them. When GameStop worked out, it was like the baggies Super Bowl. They were like, we made it. We won. We got a stock right. What? We got one stock right? They're like, no way. This is awesome. Investing is so
filled.
cool.
Order filled.
All right, Baggy, calm down. You're not Warren Buffett yet. Yes, I am. Well, what's your next pick, Baggy? Come on. Be serious here. AMC, the movie theater. Yeah? That's your next one, Baggy? Yeah.
Order filled.
Yeah, it's great. After that, I got Bed Bath & Beyond. Didn't they file for bankruptcy? Yeah, I know.
Order filled.
It's elite.
Order partially filled.
Just make sure you sign up for Godel. Godel is my whole life. This short stuff for me is just fun. I like to show you guys what I know, but my life is spent in front of monitors like this, in front of Bloomberg machines and other software, and I never really liked the software that was out there, and it was too expensive, so I made my own, and I'm sharing it with you guys, and it will be better than anything out there. I guarantee that. It'll take time. Bloomberg was built over 40 years. The software is not out yet publicly, so it's available for a deep discount that's permanent when you sign up. It's also free, so you can try the free version if you can't afford paying $60 a month. You could try the free version. There's also student pricing. A lot of people want to be on Wall Street, and they're younger. And a lot of people who watched my channel ended up being CEOs and billionaires, believe it or not. A lot of them invested in Godel's parent company, which is called DL Software. They would have been successful with or without my stream, but I'm really happy they found something useful from my stream. And you can read some of those names on dl.software if you want to check out our financing press release. Really smart community. I found almost all my stock picks through Godel. You know, I obviously did the analysis and came up with the conclusion, but half the battle is people putting you on to interesting stocks. So it's a really nice community of people that are looking at like really fascinating stocks. Just that alone, I think, is worth the $60. But then, you know, people pay $2,500 a month for Bloomberg, and there's no reason why they should do that. And we will absolutely replicate every last inch of the Bloomberg. There is nothing special about what Bloomberg does that it should be that expensive. And we can actually add, it's actually worse than that. We can add things that they don't have that we're working on as we speak that we'll reveal in due time because they've gotten very lazy. Great product. Mike is one of my heroes, but it's my time to shine. Your time is up. My time is now.